My 38M wife, 35F, has been ignoring me since our son was born, and it's been 10 years. I normally don't ask for advice on internet, but my wife refused therapy and I don't know what else to do. I will try to be as exhaustive as possible. Before our son, Mike, was born, me, 38M, and my wife, Andrea, 35F, were inseparable. We used to do everything together, support each other in time of need, and enjoy each other company in everyday events. After 6 years together, 3 of dating plus 3 of marriage, we had our child, Mike. While Andrea was pregnant, we always discussed about the thousands of things we wanted to do as a family. Problem is that after Mike was born, I was basically excluded from all these things. I had an abusive father, so I promised myself I would try to be the best father possible for my son. In the first few months, Andrea was in maternity leave, while I kept working. I work 715 5 days a week, so every day I got out of work, went home and took care of Mike while my wife got some rest. Then I cook dinner and help around the house. I keep this routine even now. Except now I sometimes take 1 hour to run some errands. After her maternity leave ended, I asked her what she wanted to do. Go back to work or be a som. I was okay with both options, and she decided to go back to work. So my mom started taking care of Mike while we were working. My grandma used to take care of me when I was little, and my mom offered to do the same for Mike. During the first 2 years I noticed my wife was distancing herself from me. We had no us time. I thought it was simply because we had less free time due to Mike. And she was always a bit cold with me. I tried to ask if there was something wrong, but she said everything was fine. Things got really weird once Mike started going to kindergarten. It wouldn't be rare for me to pick him up, only to find out my wife had already gone in my place without saying anything. I would call but nobody would answer, and once they got home, her excuse was that she wanted some alone time with Mike and she had turned off her phone. It happened so many times that one of the teachers started asking me if we were divorced and had trouble deciding who had to pick Mike up. She became colder as the years passed. I would wake up during the weekend only to find that she took Mike out without even waking me up. I particularly remember one time, 5 years ago. I have to do a checkup at the hospital once a month. Nothing serious. One Saturday I got home from the hospital to find she had taken Mike out. I thought they maybe went to the park, so I cleaned the house and prepared lunch. They didn't come home. I tried calling. Phone was off. I waited until the afternoon. Then I started getting worried if something serious had happened. I called my mother and her parents to see if they were there, but they weren't. I tried to stay calm and not to think bad things. I prepared dinner and waited. At 21 I lost my composure. Took the car and went to search for them. I checked the park, the hospital. I called her best friend. I even called her sister, who lives 4 hours away. I got home at 23, ready to call the police, only to find that in the meantime Andrea had come home, ate dinner and put Mike to bed and was in bed, as if everything was normal. I tried to stay calm, but I couldn't. I blew up in her face, telling her how worried I was. Her answer? You are blowing things out of proportions. You knew Mike was with me and I would have called if there was a problem. I'm doing my best so that my son has a happy childhood. I take care of him, help him with homeworks. I even started relearning French to help him with them. Play with him, teach him things and listen to him whenever he has a problem. I never discuss my problems with Andrea when he could hear, and I try not to look angry whenever he is present. Despite that, he is now 10 and he is realizing that something is wrong between me and Andrea. On the couple side of the relationships, things are not better. Andrea barely interact with me. We have no time alone. Even when my mom or her parents offer to take care of Mike for one day so that we have a bit of free time, she refuses. Intimacy is not a thing. I proposed her to go on a date many times but she refused, stating that we have no time, or that she has to do something else, or that she is tired. I asked my best friend, Sarah, what I could do, and she suggested trying to remind Andrea how much we love each other by recreating the day we got together. Our first date was quite particular. We went to a restaurant with a couple of friends. This restaurant had a dance floor, and after dinner, couples could choose to participate in a dance competition. The winning couple got a free dinner. Me and Andrea were only friends at the time, but all our friends were there with their partners, so we had decided to participate together even though we were not a couple. In what I can only define as a miracle, we won. We are good at dancing, but I didn't think we were that good. Unfortunately, that restaurant closed due to the virus, but I still had some photos of that night. Sarah offered her help and we spent weeks recreating decorations, assets and other things. I took the day of our anniversary off and me and Sarah transformed my living room in a copy of the restaurant. I cooked the dishes we ate that night, bought a copy of the dresses we wore, and Sarah and her GF, Monica, offered to act as our waitresses. They offered to do it for free, but I insisted on paying them a symbolic amount of money. I left Mike with my mom and her parents. They are friends and decided to do a movie night together at her parents' house. Everything was perfect, but it was useless. Andrea got home, saw everything we did, asked about it. I explained the idea. She scoffed, asked where Mike was. We ate dinner in an awkward silence and she went to bed. Sarah and Monica apologized for proposing the idea and left. I reached my limit. I'm not violent. Never even throw a punch. Except to a wall once. But I knew I wasn't in a good state of mind in that moment. So I left. I went to her parents' house. Explained the situation briefly. Took a copy of my mother's house key and went to sleep to her house. I'm there right now. Andrea has called a couple times to ask where I was, when I would come home, and if Mike was with me. He is. He came back with my mom this morning. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's the problem, why things are the way they are, and I don't know how to solve the situation. TLDR. Since our son was born, my wife has barely acknowledged my presence. Despite multiple attempts, things are only getting worse. Yet she insists everything is fine and refuses therapy. I don't know what to do to fix this mess, and I don't know what caused it. I think 10 years is long enough to be living in limbo. You've made all the right moves. You've tried to take the burden off her. You've proposed date nights. You've come up with romantic surprises. You've tried to have serious discussions about your relationship. By this stage, all that is left is to ask her straight out if she wants a divorce. And if she says you're being overdramatic again, then firmly state that this is make or break. That there is no relationship to speak of, and that if things don't change, then there will inevitably be a divorce. Ask her if she's depressed. If she's no longer in love with you. If there is anything you can do. The alternative to a straight conversation where everything is laid on the table is that you need to leave her, for your own good. Have you asked your son where she takes him when she vanishes? So tell me, what do you think would be different for you two if you were separated and shared custody? Except for not living together anymore? If you can't give me an answer besides that, I think you know what your next step should be. You are not just a parent. You are a person on your own still, and you deserve love and intimacy. And from what you told us here, your wife isn't providing either and hasn't been for 10 years. So you are not living in your home at this point. You say you have reached your limit. So what is that limit? You tried everything to reconnect and she scoffed at you. That is disrespectful and dismissive. Your son is watching this relationship and comparing it to others that he experiences and how different it is. If you need in your life some love and care, someone that talks to you, that does things with you and is a partner, then that person is going to be someone else as your wife isn't interested. It doesn't seem that her parents are this way, or you would have mentioned it. So this is a choice she has made to not involve you in her life and what she does with Mike. Not only that, but she has chosen to avoid you for hours in the past. So what is your choice? Because you cannot force change on someone, are you willing to say that you are done? This is not a solvable problem. This person has made a choice. She wanted a child, got one, and didn't want to be a family but put up with living with you for the child most likely. What are your options is the next thing to consider, and do it for you and Mike. You cannot make choices for her. You cannot fix something that the other person doesn't consider broken. Her needs and yours are very, very different in this situation. That is the bottom line. You are not going to get your needs met. So do you to find someone who will? I am the first person to say work on things and it can be figured out. And I usually have a ton of suggestions. But sorry my dude, this woman has flushed 10 years of your life down the drain. Get a lawyer, get 50% custody, get yourself an apartment, and take back your life. I was divorced with a 1 and 3-year-old. The first couple years were hard emotionally, as the failure of a marriage and family can be devastating. But I persevered and created a great life. I created a great relationship with my daughters. They are now 21 and 19 and two very strong, well-adjusted young ladies. I have love from them and romantic love in my life. You can make this change in your life. You deserve it. Don't bother asking her if she wants a divorce. Tell her you're getting one. Get a good lawyer and push for 50% custody. But be prepared for her to play games with your custody arrangements. She's already demonstrated that she wants to estrange you from the child. Expect that to continue. Meanwhile, your kid is going to need you in his life as a counterbalance to his mom. The kid is her new partner now, which is a horribly unhealthy thing to do to a child. I'm probably going to sound like an $@ here for saying this. But from what you've described, it almost sounds like she used you to have a baby. Once she had that, she didn't need you anymore. She stays out of convenience and security, not because she cares about your marriage. You need to sit her down and lay it all out on the table. Tell her if she doesn't put effort into the relationship between you two, then it's over. You don't deserve this, and neither does your son. Yes, he knows something is up because kids can tell. They know. Right now you're both showing him that this is what marriage when it really isn't. And it's not what you want for him. You've settled. And you're showing him it's okay to settle too, which, again, it's not. So she used you for a kid and finally checked out? Divorce, get as much custody as you can. You could probably push for full custody because she's obviously alienating you from your kid. After reading the comments, I would suggest hiding an AirTag in the lining of your kid's clothes. Maybe somehow in his shoe. You may want to do this to confirm what your wife is doing during these outings. I don't think it's super likely. But it also seems strange she hasn't wanted a romantic partner for 10 years. That said, it honestly sounds like her bond with her son completely replaced the bond she had with you. When she had that kid, he became her entire world and she no longer felt connected to you. I'm sorry, man. Your story is tragic. Please leave and discover what life is again. Keep a relationship with your son and don't trash talk his mom. He'll understand when he's older if he doesn't already. How's Mike's relationship with both of you? Other people are giving good advice on what you should do with your relationship right now. But 10 years is way too long for you to have been living like this. It sounds like you should be in therapy for yourself so you can learn to value your own needs. Not standing up for yourself for this long is deeply unhealthy. You mentioned that when she did something that upset you, you talked to her afterwards, and the conclusion of the conversation was always that she said, "Nothing is wrong." Have you internalized some kind of happy wife, happy life idea of how relationships work? You need to understand that your feelings matter. She has done some things that very reasonably upset you and told you that you were being dramatic. When you confronted her, this is a very toxic relationship and there's no reason for you to still be in it. Only your son matters now, and she has checked out of your relationship. Ask her for a divorce or couple therapy. Honestly, after 10 years it's time to start putting yourself first. You could ask her if she wants a divorce. But what do you want? Do you really want to keep living this life? You've asked her why she does this. You try and figure out how to be the best dad and partner, and it's not working because she's not letting you. You need to figure out what you want, and I think that should be a trial separation. Tell her that she has not been there for you and too distant, and you both need time apart. You need a schedule to where you both have your kid half the time, otherwise she might keep him. The woman you loved seems to be gone. I'm sorry, but you can't keep loving like this, and your son shouldn't be in a house where people aren't happy, and he can tell. It's better to have happily divorced parents than miserable ones who are together for the sake of the child. I just want to say again that this is not a good relationship for a child to be growing up alongside. I saw you said you will keep trying to fix this marriage while Mike is still a kid, but he's almost a teenager. He's noticing that something is not right, and these are important years in his life. Something has to change in this situation for your son. And your wife won't do it, so you have to. It's been a decade, man. Just get a divorce. You need to leave and get 50-50 custody. You need to look at emotional incest. Your child is taking on all her emotional needs. This needs to be fixed before she destroys every relationship he has. Time to talk to a lawyer and get a divorce. There's a part of me that wonders if she was just waiting until she qualified to get part of your Social Security, or if she came from a religious sect that said divorce isn't allowed. I'm amazed you stayed in this Cold War for 10 years. It's time to separate. The indifference and the disappearing act isn't normal. When you file for divorce, demand a mental health evaluation. Preferably a psychiatrist. I really think in her head Mike is her husband now. I'm being completely serious. Looks like she replaced you with him. I would have flipped at the school thing and left at that time. Did you talk to her mother or her friends? Update me. Up. I am sorry you are going through this. Living as a married single is no way to live. There are some obvious suspicions I have. 1. Since she is acting as if Mike is hers alone and you are an addendum. Did you do a paternity test on the child? If not, do so ASAP. 2. Since she is acting incredibly distant to you for years, have you done some investigating to check and see if there is anyone else? 3. If number 1 and number 2 are non-factors, consider postpartum depression, which can permanently alter brain chemistry. If so, she needs psychiatric care. Listen, I'll cut to the chase. This has gone on way too long. You trying to nice her back to you has not and will not work. It may actually be making things worse. In a very weird way. She may see you as weak. I am going to recommend 3 things. 1. Read No More Mr. Nice Guy as many times as you need to internalize it. You're doing the Mr. Nice Guy thing will not work. Period. 2. Stop the nicing her back thing and start the 180. Since you are virtually a single dad now, start acting like one. Work out. After making sure your son is taken care of, which includes knowing where he is at all times. No more disappearing acts by her. Take care of you. Work out. Go out with buddies. Enjoy hobbies again. I would add here that you need to take steps to track her whereabouts from now on. Disappearing with your son without your knowledge is wildly inappropriate and completely wrong. Acting like it's no big deal and unhinged. This is why I wonder about paternity. Is she taking him to see his bio dad? If this happens again, get the authorities involved so you have a record of this behavior. 3. Demand she get therapy or you will file. Tell her that she has changed and in doing so, alienated you completely. If she wants to have a chance at staying married, she gets counseling and possibly psychiatric treatment. Her refusal is a tacit request to divorce and you must follow through. I hurt for you, man. I really do. I cannot believe you've put up with this for 10 years. Time to pump the brakes on her runaway train and do so hard. Good luck.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.